Hello everybody, welcome back to Beyond the Grandstand. I'm Mark.
I'm Stefano.
And I'm Alex.
Today's topics are an update on Juan Manuel Correa's condition,
Formula 3 results.
Alex Peroni's accident.
the Formula 2 results,
The 2019 Italian Grand Prix at Monza.
A discussion about Charles Leclerc's aggressive driving style.
and a new segment, the Triple Crown Classics, in which we'll be discussing motorsports in the 1950s.
And an insight into taking the pits.
If you haven't liked and followed us on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter, now is the time. If you haven't watched episode 1, you're wasting your life. Because this is F1. This is all motorsport in general. Seen from Beyond the Grandstand.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Well, here we are.
let's
everyone.
talk about... Yep,
I think
so
first
I
of
guess
all,
the first topic is
yep.
about Juan Manuel Correa and some unfortunate news.
Yes, so while
How's he going?
he was transferred to a hospital in the United Kingdom to continue his recovery before he would be transferred
United
to the
Kingdom.
United States. And
Actually, I believe he was actually getting treated in a specialist unit of the UK, so I think he was actually going to be there for a while.
yeah, I know they were originally talking about sending him home, but obviously he would need still to be treated pretty close to where he was based on his leg injuries and whatnot. But whilst he basically on
Was
arrival
there?
in the UK, he fell into acute respiratory distress syndrome, which caused him to fall into just complete acute respiratory failure, which at this time he's being kept in a medically induced coma. He's under life support. He has artificial respiration going, and his parents are obviously there with him. They've got all the support that basically they can provide, and at this time they're requesting that nobody obviously no one try and find the hospital and storm it with paparazzi or anything.
And I think all we can say at this stage is stay strong, Juan Manuel Correa. Our thoughts are always with you, and we're sending our prayers for a speedy
Definitely.
recovery.
And of course, as you know, we respect his privacy.
We hope you do as well.
Yes.
Although he may be a public figure, just think if it was your family and how you would like it if they were stormed by people you didn't really know.
Because they're
Oh,
all
yeah,
still
if I can
people. They're all
compare
still
it.
people.
If I can compare it to Michael Schumacher's situation, I mean, it's been so long since his accident, we haven't heard anything, but yet, you know, I'm not frustrated about it.
Today we actually had an update from his family.
Oh, okay, yeah, that sounds pretty good.
He's been moved to a facility in France for stem cell treatment.
Yeah, apparently it's top secret, but Sky News actually described they said, oh, he's being moved to undergo a top secret treatment, and then they described the treatment in graphic detail, so it's obviously not top secret anymore.
Well, that's a bit
but-
of
I mean,
yeah.
we say respect his privacy, but we all hope that this helps him and we can see him back soon, because
Well,
I think the entire
it's
F1
obviously,
community misses.
Obviously something's going, right?
Oh, yeah. Mm.
And I think
you
the
know,
entire F1 would love to see Michael back.
definitely.
Also, obviously, anyone who hasn't noticed, Stefano is here. He's a recurring host. He'll be appearing every second episode, which is when we'll be hosting
Greetings.
the Triple Crown Classic.
Yep.
That's me. I'm Stefano, and
Tell us a bit about
I
yourself,
primarily-
Stefano.
Pardon?
Tell us a bit about yourself, Stefano.
Well, I am Stefano. I've known Alex for a long time, and just recently I've got to know Mark. I'm into motorsports as well, and primarily I'm into classic motorsports, primarily from the eras of the 80s, the 90s, and the 2000s. I've got a bit more experience within that topic region.
Be careful, Stefano. You've just probably ignored a comment war now that you said the 2000s are a classic season.
Well, you know, considering that I'm 20 years old now, and 1999 was 20 years ago, I would consider that classic at this stage.
In your lifetime, it is, yeah.
Yeah.
So let's talk Formula 3. Okay. We also have the Formula 3 results. We'll be covering Alexander Peroni's crash later. The race 1 in Formula 3 saw Robert Schwarzman extend his lead in his bid for his first Formula 3 championship, all but securing with only a points finish needed in Russia to take it away. with J. River in second and UK Tsunoda securing third after a penalty to Marcus Armstrong for speeding under the VSC. Race 2 saw Tsunoda take the win for Genza Motorsports, with Liam Lawson running second and Jake Hughes securing third.
Our compatriot, the Tasmanian Australian Alexander Peroni, had a horrifying crash in Formula 3.
Oh, yeah.
He was effectively launched over a Verstappen sausage curb and narrowly missed a sign.
Really, I mean, would you call it a Verstappen? It looked like the much older style of the sausage curb. It was still a sausage curb. Would have done it. It was a sausage curb, but it was a traditional old style of the.
It was a speed
almost
hump.
like a plastic speed hump. Yeah, the old style sausage curb, which are ridiculously dangerous at this speed.
Yeah, he literally
come away with it.
He launched himself through the air, narrowly missed a big Heineken signboard, and he ended up smashing through a flag indicator board and destroyed that in the process. Narrowly missed a few marshals, flipped his car through the air about 35 times. That's an exaggeration, by the way.
You know what it was? It was very, very reminiscent of the Sofia Flores accident.
I think it was, yeah. And also, he went 87 meters airborne. It was 87 meters through the air, which is massive.
Yeah, he was lucky to come away with the injuries.
He got out on his own as well.
Fractured vertebrae.
He got one
fractured vertebrae and a concussion.
Fractured vertebrae and a concussion.
Yeah. So, and I believe that he hopes to be back racing at the next round.
Yeah, they had to keep him away from this one, like the second round of F2, because of his obviously, like, because of his concussion. They just had to keep him away, like, just in case.
Yeah, you don't want to drive concussion racing.
No, exactly.
Anything else to add on the incident?
I don't
think
believe
the FIA
so.
acted. Yeah, the FIA acted very well, removing all the.
They bulldozed every sausage curb, even though Peroni did kind of take care of the one that he hit. That no longer exists.
I believe he was also doing an audition to take part in the aerial display before the Grand Prix, but unfortunately, I don't think he made the cut. Formula 2 was also on this weekend, with race 1 being taken up by Noble Hara and Matsushita for Carlin. Luca Giotto drove a stunning race in his Univirtuosi car, and Nick de Vries also scored a podium, extending his championship lead for the ART Grand Prix team. Race 2 was taken up by Jack Aitken. Jordan King came second, and Nick de Vries once again was on the podium in third. For me, Nick de Vries has all but sealed the title, and Russia will be just a cakewalk. He's done well in Russia before, and I think it's a real shame that it doesn't look like he's going to get an F1 drive anytime soon. But the second place driver will. You guys have any comments on that?
Probably not, I think. Not for F2, because it wasn't the most exciting collection of races of the season, to say the least.
If you just looked at Giotto's drive and Zhao's drive in race 2, absolutely amazing. From next year, I'm saying it's probably going to be a tight battle. In F2 next year, of course, de Vries won't be able to race due to the rules, with championship drivers not being allowed to defend the title.
I think, realistically, de Vries will probably end up in Formula E at this point, because F1, I think, is running out of seats.
And unfortunately, I think second place Latifi's going to get it.
Yeah, I think de Vries' age, I think, as well, works against him because he's a bit older.
Yep. So next year, I'm going to have a little talk about next year. Next year, I think it's going to be I want to say a freeway title battle between Zhao, Schumacher, and maybe Aitken if he decides to stay in F2 another year. He seems to have gotten back on track with his racing. And maybe Matsushita will also be in it. but that's my pick for next year. Any of those four, and time for a new segment.
Yes,
inspired by
one of many new
all of
segments.
F2. This segment wasn't announced, but this segment is: has Tatiana Calderon finally scored a point, or did she just retire? So,
That's right. This is has Tatiana scored a point yet?
What an intro.
After 20 races in F2, has Tatiana Calderon scored a point yet?
The answer is drumroll.
No!
That's
Depressing.
surprising. Yeah, that's the word I was looking for.
And yet somehow, Mahira Gunnarsson was banned for a race and is on the verge of being banned for a second race, has scored a point.
And speaking of bans, Sebastian Vettel is 3 penalty points away from a race ban.
Jesus Christ, Sebastian Vettel.
Poor old Seb.
Okay, I believe that's F2 covered.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about the main event.
The 2019 Italian Grand Prix.
Wow.
So, boys. Oh.
Yeah, this is a hot topic.
I think the word that we're looking for is epic and controversial.
And mainly shocking in some cases.
Yeah, actually. Yeah, you're not wrong.
Well, I think this weekend we discovered that Kimi Räikkönen has a deep hatred of the "Don't Drink and Drive" ads.
Yeah, he hit them like 3 times.
That reminds me of the time he was at that convention.
Oh, the FIA gala.
Where he got up on stage drunk.
Yeah, and he was absolutely smashed.
Yep, well, Kimi is showing that he does not agree with the "Don't Drink and Drive" ads. Either that, or he's just trying to get to the Heineken.
One or the other.
Yep. Okay, so practice one was a bit of a whitewash. You couldn't really get any results from it due to its wetness.
Yeah, lots of rain.
I would say similar for practice 2, a bit of a mixed bag. Couldn't really get.
At least they got to set some good times on dry weather tyres though as well.
Yeah,
especially most of the teams managed to get the right setup for Monza.
Yeah, the low drag.
FP3,
They basically removed
FP3.
all aerodynamics from their rear wings. It was effectively a horizontal line with a DRS flap on top.
I mean,
Definitely.
Red Bull obviously had a new sponsor because they had an IKEA shelf instead of a rear wing.
Some assembly required.
Oh, definitely.
Yep. Okay, so FP3 saw some pretty interesting times with who topped what chart.
Yeah, FP3 was quirky, to say the least. Let's use the word quirky.
Yep. And we won't talk too long about practice because, oh boy, qualifying.
Qualifying was a doozy.
Another Mercedes engine failed.
It was
I believe it.
I think it was Stroll who had an engine failure in qualifying.
Perez,
yeah,
Perez?
Stroll's teammate, yeah.
So
Oh
Perez,
yeah, sorry, I got it the wrong way around.
Perez's engine shut itself before he could even set a fast lap.
But
Well,
yeah, let me just quickly
not
let me just quickly do a note on free practice 3. Most of the session was run with Carlos Sainz P1, Kvyat and Gasly were P2 and 3, Russell and Kubica were 4 and 5, and Stroll was P6, followed by Hamilton and Bottas.
I think we all know why McLaren did so well in practice. The God Alonso was there with them.
Yeah, and even in FP1, it was McLaren was 2nd and 3rd.
Yep. So back to qualifying. Yeah. So other than Q1 with the Mercedes engine shitting itself in a racing point again.
Again, the Spec 3 Mercedes engine isn't the best.
It was the Spec 2. It was his old Spec 2 because his Spec 3 shut itself.
Yeah, so it was. He ran out of Spec 3s.
I'm sensing some GP2 engine feelings here.
Yeah, so far, I think for actual engine failures and not electrical systems, I believe Mercedes right now are looking strong to take the GP2 engine award.
I think before that we say what happened in qualifying, I'm going to read out some of the comments. So we have Pranav Gopade said Q3 was a live meme. Clement Nicholas said lol, they look like a bunch of amateurs. We have congratulations, but what the hell did I just watch? That last run was a farce from Ian Barrett.
I think, before we keep talking, I think we all know who had the best reaction to Q3. We can all agree on Lando Norris.
Yes, he photoshopped the photo of him on a scooter into it. Someone else, Dwight...
And then tried to race with it.
Yeah, well, he would probably be faster.
He would have probably beat them around.
Dwight Raffinin Atate said that has to be the most awkward F1 qualifying ever. We've got... That was probably one of the silliest qualifying moments, was said by Kazuyuki Farron.
I think... Yep. So I think you either hated it, but loved you hated it for racing, but you just loved it for the entertainment value.
There's a few more here as well.
That's the best way to describe it.
Asher Hanley, that qualifying was the funniest thing I've seen all year. We've got Veljko Stankovic said, "Wait, what just happened?" There was Tajul Azri said this Q3 will be remembered for as long as F1 exists. I am now waiting for Norris's meme about this.
Well, he was ready, all right.
Steve Thomas said Quali 3. What an funniest quali in F1 history.
Yep.
There was Michelle Pamaka said. Kim Pasola said I blame Rolex, and Mike Bean says someone's going to lose their job over this. Ivan Aguirre said the lads are doing a formation lap. And someone here actually gave a bad reception. Marek Mazepust said no, seriously, team's full of engineers and this happens. Quali. Someone else, Mario Stoll, said it's a yoke.
To that comment, hang on, Alex. Just responding to that comment. The engineers on other teams don't talk to each other. They all have their own strategy, and I think this was a weird event when they were all trying to run the same strategy.
They had the exact same one,
for someone else.
And then it turned into a game of who can come out last.
F1 teams aren't talking to each other about, okay, let's all go out in this order. They're trying to all outsmart each other, and ended up biting them in the arse. Now, just on Q3 itself, I'm sorry, but if one driver is going to get an especially hard blame, it's Nico Hülkenberg.
Although I think Mercedes started it, but Hülkenberg definitely is the one that started the on-track drama. Because those of you who don't know what happened, I think we just need to quickly explain what happened before I keep reading these comments. At the start, they all waited, because Monza is a very high-speed circuit, everyone relies purely on slipstreaming and drafting and towing. Basically, they all...
To get faster times.
Basically, yeah, and they waited in pit lane for a very long time until there was only 2 minutes left on the clock. And that was when Hülkenberg basically broke the silence and exited his garage. And he was then followed by everyone. And the two Mercedes pulled out in front.
Which I think is... something that I think he also should be punishable, but he said, it was on purpose. But, I mean, it was obviously on purpose.
Yeah, before that happened, the two Mercedes were at the front of the queue, and they both pulled into the practice start zone to let everyone else pass.
They pulled their Baku thing.
Yeah, they pulled into the practice start thing so that everyone else could get past them. And then at the first chicane, Hülkenberg realised he was in front, which is not what he wanted, and then fakes a lockup. He faked a lockup, and then
he didn't even fake a lockup. There was no smoke, no lockup.
No, there was no. He didn't actually cause one.
He just tapped the brakes.
But, no, he tried to do one though.
Through the back road.
He turned and everything. Like he actually tried to lock up, so he could get through the escape road.
Faking a lockup.
He failed and then did it anyway.
Yeah. I saw the recording and it just looked like he's just slowed down to go through the board.
He rapidly turned left and right.
In F3. A similar thing happened in F3. But here's the thing. F3, most of them are rookie drivers. Most of them are new to open wheel formula style racing like that. They got penalties for it. Why should top grade F1 drivers be dragged under the bus for what they did. They should have been sent to the back of the grid. Not all of them, but Hulkenberg and a few others.
I think the two Mercedes started it. I mean, technically theirs wasn't illegal though. So as I think they started the whole thing, they did start it, but they didn't actually do it in an illegal way. So that I think they're fine.
Hulkenberg, I would have given him a 10th place.
I think also when he went into the escape road, Lance Stroll, who was running behind him, actually noticed and realised what he was doing, and then Stroll slowed down drastically so that Hulkenberg would come out in front still.
Stroll, I think, should also have gotten a penalty, maybe not as severe, but as Hulkenberg. Maybe not as severe as Hulkenberg, but definitely he should been reprimanded as well. Not reprimanded as in what he actually got, but reprimanded as maybe a 5th place or 3rd place. Definitely.
Yeah. Also,
and then Sainz.
Carlos Sainz was the only one who actually set a qualifying time. Everyone else was going so slowly.
He was part of the slow. No one's getting through at the start.
He eventually gave up. He eventually moved on.
The reprimand was right. He realised, oh crap, no one's going to get a time done if we keep doing this.
And then he went. Yeah, he started doing it, and then he realised the repercussions, and then changed his mind. I agree with the reprimand
for Sainz, but both Stroll and Hulkenberg should have been, grid penalties for sure.
And also, throughout the entire thing, they were all going extremely slowly, trying to get each other to pass them. Yeah. And Sebastian Vettel was trying to set a time as well, but he couldn't get past anyone.
No, he couldn't get... I mean, there's onboard footage of him trying to actually get past them, but he just couldn't. There was no room.
Yeah, they were all running. They were running like 4 wide, going around the Lesmos.
Yep.
And
now I think it's time for the race, and oh boy, grab your popcorn, boys.
But yeah, and I mean, Carlos Sainz is the only one who got to set a time there. And I think Sport Pisa Racing Point actually said, they posted afterwards, their exact words were, going to put it out there, that didn't go to plan. And I think that's an understatement.
Yep. So, on the race now, and we thought Spa was good.
I think the only word that I can possibly use is epic. Although a lot of people would use the word undeserved, or... maybe I think controversial is another good word, because there are a lot of mixed opinions.
I'm willing to bet those people who say it's undeserved also were fully fully for the Verstappen overtake on Leclerc. They were all like, oh yes, that was amazing racing. Oh, so
how
good.
Did that get rated as the best? F1 themselves ranked that as the best overtake of the year, which is ridiculous.
No, that's what I mean. The fact is, that overtake, if you liked that overtake and thought it was fair, then you should have no issues with what Leclerc did. And if you do have issues with it, you're a bit of a hypocrite.
Exactly. Well, a bit is also an understatement. I think you're a massive hypocrite. Obviously, the start of the race was pretty good. I mean, Verstappen, as expected, took out quite a few people. They all ended up taking the escape road.
I just want to say, we called it.
We did call it. We did predict that.
Difficult start. And also, I think I deserve some brownie points because I predicted the Renault dominance at Monza.
Yeah, Renault P4 and P5 in the race.
Not bad. Thanks to Sebastian Vettel.
Bastion.
Yep, Sebastian Vettel spun again.
And with the way Bottas was locking up and missing apexes, they could have been on for third if, Bottas did.
Yeah. The way how Bottas locked up into Variante in the first corner, he went too wide and he almost let someone overtake him.
Yeah, Variante del Retiflio.
Yeah, Bottas damaged his chances of winning. I would say it was originally a 50-50, but he started locking up and screwing up and it went all the way down to...
Although at the end, he was almost certain to win at the end. And then obviously there was a big lock up. Yeah, I think that he must have been having some kind of brake or tire issue, because obviously lockups are a part of racing. They happen all the time, but he locked up so many times.
Yeah, it shouldn't have been happening. Maybe he was attacking the corners too aggressively and too quickly,
that's what I think.
braking too late. That's what I think.
I think he was under orders to chase down Leclerc, and I think he just overcooked.
Was trying too hard. Yeah.
He overcooked it.
Speaking about Leclerc, what about at the Variante when he made Hamilton take the back road? What happened there? Like,
Yes,
wow, Jesus.
Leclerc was all over the track all race. He was doing everything in his power to defend against Hamilton because he said after Austria that he needs to stop being nice to other drivers on track. He needs to be more aggressive, and that's what he's done.
Because it was in a braking zone, he's more than allowed to.
Exactly. At the time that he turned, he was still in the acceleration zone.
He got a warning from the stewards, though.
He did get a black and white flag because that was in the braking zone as well.
No, that was in the chicane, I believe. The second chicane.
Oh yeah, he ran wide and he had to go over the sausage curbs as well, and he effectively...
Yeah.
He still ended up in front. And then at the end, Hamilton's tyres were so dead that he ended up having to basically concede his place to Bottas because Bottas was fastest on track.
Deserved that win.
I do.
And I think fans should follow their driver's lead and accept it.
Fans need to realise that they can't do anything about race results. They can't do anything about steward decisions. So seriously, there is no point just complaining about it because there's nothing you can do to change it. Just get on with it. Enjoy the racing for what it is. And if there's something that you don't agree with, just keep it to yourself and don't ruin all the other fans' enjoyment because of it.
Yeah. And that's the thing too, because when you watch a race, you watch it to see what happens. You don't watch it to predict what would happen. That's what races bring.
You don't watch it to dish out your own penalties.
No, of course.
The fact is, they should follow your driver's lead. If your driver has accepted it, accept it as well. If your driver said, "Yeah, I accept the results. I'm happy with them. We put up a good fight, but he was better in the end." Don't go sulking, "Oh, he wasn't better, he wasn't better." Follow what your driver said. If you're truly a fan of him, you respect what he said. You won't go out and just do what some fan groups are doing right now.
It kind of reminds me of how Ayrton Senna reacted to Eddie Irvine cheekily making his way up the grid from being a backmarker.
Yeah, he finished P6 in that race back in 1993. And Senna was not happy.
No, despite he won the race, and he went to pick a fight with Eddie.
Well, he almost got taken out as well. But when I put Eddie against his pit box wall and just punched him.
And as Mark was saying, you can't change the results, and even though Ayrton wasn't happy about it, he got a 2-race ban for hitting him. Man, that wasn't really worth it,
Yeah, exactly, because there's nothing you can do about it, so just accept that that's what happened. It's in the past, it's over, just forget. If it really bothers you that much, just forget about it and just look to the next race.
Oh, yeah. Well, but, hardcore fans sometimes.
Earlier in the season, all the fans were complaining about the stewarding. They were all saying, let them race, let them race.
And then now that they do let them race, all they do is complain.
Exactly. You can't have it both ways. You can't have them saying, let it race, but, oh no, give them penalties when it's against my driver.
Yeah, exactly. It's literally...
Basically, stewards are there to do their job under regulation and rules from the races, and if they're not there, races could get too dangerous.
The fact is, stewards know the rules better than you, despite what you think. Stewards understand the regulations better than you. And stewards are actually paid to do their job by the FIA, not by teams, not by you. They are impartial.
And you're not paid by the FIA.
Yeah, and this whole Ferrari international assistance...
Do you not remember Canada?
Yes, and the fact is, if we look at probably penalties, I'm willing to bet of the top 3 teams, Mercedes have received the least amount of penalties.
Even when sometimes they do deserve them.
Yes, I'm saying in recent years, I'm not going back to the Schumacher dominance.
No, obviously. Because back then, it was the same thing with Ferrari. And same with 2010 to 2013, the same thing was with Red Bull.
What do you mean, McLaren West Mercedes?
No, Ferrari, back in the Schumacher era.
Oh, yeah, because, I understand.
whichever team is dominating at the time they're a
The
lot more
FIA
lenient
tend to
towards.
be- Yes, because if they're dominating, they bring. I guess the idea is if they dominate, that's good for racers. That's good for fans. I don't understand why, but the FIA tends to always favour the dominant team.
Bias,
Exactly.
maybe, probably.
So I believe
We're not saying that it happens, but you know, it kind of looks like it. If you look at the past race results from the past
Yep.
years and how many championships Hamilton has won.
so.
Another piece of news. It's a bit unique, but we have a Discord server open up, and this Discord server is made for the viewers of Beyond the Grandstand. And the aim of the Discord server is basically a place where fans can talk to other fans and talk about motorsport, but mainly F1 in some cases, but you can talk about any type of motorsport. And it's a community base where people can actually get together, make friends, and primarily the motto is, it's by fans, for fans, and hopefully we can see some really interesting stuff in there. Once you join the server, you'll see that we have some unique features to it that will make your experience in the server exciting, and some stuff that you might say in the server could be featured in one of our videos in the future. And you know, we have contests up and little challenges along the way, so you know, feel
There's
free to join
also-
the Discord.
There's also heaps of little Easter eggs in the Discord for you all to discover and eventually have fun with.
And especially
Oh, yes.
those who are fans of Team Radio and F1 memes.
Definitely.
Just before we get on to our next segment, our special announcement: F3 driver Simo Laxonen's birthday is today.
Happy
Birthday
start
to-
singing. Why would I sing on a stream?
For a second there,
I think the more.
I feel like we should.
You right? Oh, should we? All right.
I'm not singing.
Alright, me
You
and
two
Stefano
can.
will. 3, 2, 1. Happy
Happy
birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Simo. Happy birthday to you.
Mark, hip hip.
Now, thankfully, Simo is finished, so no doubt he'll have enough alcohol to get through that happy birthday message.
Well, that from
That was
my
a
point
nice
of view, that
hip-hip
sounded
right
pretty
there.
delayed, but at least we sounded less drunk than Raikkonen.
Yeah. So, also, I don't know if you would like to introduce who we're going to have on the show in either next episode or the one after. Maybe the one after that.
Well, we don't know exactly when, but they're
Yeah.
very interested.
But it'll
Fellow
hopefully be one soon.
Motorsport podcast, fellow Motorsport podcast, and also pretty new on the blog. Not as new as us, but we are going to have the F1 fanatics on hopefully.
Yeah, so we'll have Mike and Ash here. They'll be joining us for the podcast. We'll all sort of team up. It'll be a joint venture between the two, and
Yep.
hopefully we can have them more than once. But after that, we're going to try and hopefully get some more guests on. We've already
And I bel-
know a couple of people who are interested. So yeah,
Yeah,
see how that
we know a
goes.
few interesting people, don't we?
Yes, we do.
So, I just, point out to the fact that I don't hate, but I dislike Sebastian Vettel. Not in real life, funny enough.
Oh, do you
But,
want to tell the story of why? It's a very irrational reason. He crashes into you a lot in the video game.
Yeah,
Oh, me as well.
Yeah, because I
F1
play
2019.
when I had F1 2018 on the PC. Me and Alex would play,
Yes, and
and then every
Stefano
time we got into
wants,
a Grand Prix, it would seem funny enough that Vettel would keep getting onto my rear.
Because
And
what would
one,
happen...
he would either pit maneuver me, or two, he'll push me off the track. And
One
I don't
time...
know what was the problem.
Well,
I
the
don't know
thing, it
how
started
this is possible.
because Stefano hit me, punted me off the track in Paul Ricard, and he drove me into the barriers and took me out of the race. And as he pulled back onto the track, Vettel took him out. So it became this joke that... and it happened again and again every race. Every time
Does anyone
Stefano
else
takes
realise
me out,
how
Vettel
funny
hits him.
it is that Vettel hit a driver rejoining the track at Paul Ricard? Does anyone else realise the funniness in that?
Oh, yes. Yes. There were 2 instances back at Monza, or maybe Monza, or 3, where I think a couple of drivers tried rejoining the track, and they got sideswiped almost.
Vettel spun,
Yeah.
and as he rejoined, he took out Stroll,
Actually,
and then when Stroll rejoined,
So
he
you
took
actually-
out Gasly.
So he actually...
Let's talk about the Vettel and Stroll Ascari incident.
Oh, yes. That's a great way to start it off, considering that not only he crashes into people in the video game, he does it in real life.
So this is a little mini one. We're analysing the Vettel. So Vettel lost it on his own accord,
Oh, yeah,
no
definitely.
doubt. And then he decided to drive back on track.
Without looking.
I'm not saying he didn't look. Limited view to the size in F1 cards. Yeah, not the best move.
It wasn't the
Had he-
best. It wasn't the best display from Lance, I think, because he said on the radio he just came on the track like an idiot. Then he rejoined the track and nearly wiped out Gasly.
I will
Moments after, yeah.
say this about Stroll. Stroll was in a position on the track where if he probably sat too long, his car would have stalled and it would have had to be recovered, and I would say that's much more dangerous. And I will say this about Stroll, I'm not defending him, but the track was wide enough where he could have probably safely rejoined if Gasly wasn't on the line he was on.
But yet again, Gasly was driving normally, and he would have seen the spun out Stroll in the last few moments. So his mentality before getting to Ascari would have been, okay, I'm going to get through this corner at high speed. Oh, damn, Stroll is there.
Yeah.
So
Taking the line he did was more than fair, but I think Stroll was assuming, okay, they've seen me here, they'll give me a nice wide berth so I can rejoin the track.
nope.
That's what I think. Stroll was only given a drive-through because of where he was on track and what would have happened if he did not rejoin when he did. Alex, any comments on that?
That would
I
make
think
sense, yeah,
either way,
going through penalty.
Stroll was P6 at the time, and he could have easily maintained that considering how good that he is on that circuit. And I think P6 was actually cursed as well, because Stroll was P6. Oh no, Vettel was P6. He spins, then Stroll's P6, and then he gets taken out and hits Gasly, who was P6. Then Giovinazzi gets P6 as well. Oh no, then Sainz takes P6. He breaks, or his tyre fails. Then Kvyat's P6, and he breaks down.
Yeah, P6, not the place you want to be in 2019 Monza.
Did someone?
Yeah,
I think Vettel got a 10
Vettel got
second
the
stop
10
and go.
and
Which
Stroll
is the
goes
hi-
drive-through.
yeah. Vettel got the highest penalty possible below a disqualification.
Yeah.
That reminds you of David Coulthard getting a stop and go. Where was it? Back in Austria? Was it?
I'm not too sure.
I can't remember. It did happen, but one of them, West McLaren Mercedes, I think it was David Coulthard, back in their day of racing, he got a stop and go penalty somewhere. I think it was Austria. But yeah, I think that's a good spark to move us over into the classics.
Yes, I was going to say we got a bit off topic there, but so the Triple Crown
1950s.
Classics, 1950s
Yeah,
was a
1950.
solid year.
Oh yeah, one of the better years.
I mean,
one
the
of
Triple
best
Crown, the
decades
Triple
of
Crown
F1.
did run from 1929 to 1937. However, none of all three of them were individual races. They weren't part of the Well, I mean, Monaco was still part of the championship. However, Le Mans was not part of the championship, and neither was the Indy 500. So only in 1955 were all three of them actually championship races at the same time. Onward.
Yeah. So, big events of the 1950s. Let's go.
1955 Le Mans. Very bad incident there involving Mike Hawthorne, which obviously seriously damaged him, as did a lot of other incidents. So I think another episode we need to talk about him, because there's a lot more that went behind the scenes with him that I think a lot of people don't realise, especially revolving around his death. I think there's a lot that people don't realise was going on. So I think we need to enlighten some people on that. But yeah.
I know I may get slaughtered for this, but I'm going to say best driver, one of the best drivers of the 1950s. I'm sure you know who I'm going to say because of my admiration for him. Sterling Moss.
Farina?
Well, Nino Farina, yeah. Sterling Moss and Fangio were... I think Moss, Fangio and Hawthorne were probably the three best drivers of the 50s, I would say. Peter Collins was amazing as well, as was Ascari and Brabham, and Tony Brooks, but... I think Moss and Fangio and Hawthorne take it.
Yep.
But yeah, in 1955, in 24 Hour of Le Mans, Hawthorne had a collision with Pierre Levesque, which actually resulted in Levesque being killed, and I think it was like 83, spectators died, and I think it was hundreds more were injured, because Levesque...
Was that the incident where he flew into the air?
Yeah, he hit the barrier and his bits of his car rained into the grandstand, and the hood of his Mercedes actually got launched through the crowd like a giant spinning saw blade.
I believe that actually triggered Mercedes to pull out.
Yes, Mercedes pulled out of motorsport until 1989.
And they didn't fully return to F1 till... When was it? 20...
It was they didn't 2010 when they had their own works team again.
Wasn't there partnership with McLaren Mercedes?
That was their return.
McLaren Mercedes.
That was when they first.
I would say their true return was, of course,
as a team. As a team, they came back in 2010.
Oh yeah, as a standalone team, not shared with.
Yeah.
Not shared.
That's what I'm saying.
McLaren.
Their true return.
But yeah, they returned. I think it was 95 or 96 when they rejoined in F1. They rejoined sports cars in 89, and that was their first return to motorsport. And because of that same incident, motorsport was banned in Switzerland until 2014, when the Bern E-Prix was founded.
Of course, Switzerland would only have an E-Prix.
But yeah, so in 1950s,
don't they do hill? I'm sorry, but they don't count hill climbing as motor racing, do they?
I don't think so, because they mainly use their road cars for that. It's not a special.
I mean, talking about Switzerland and hill climbing, should we bring up one of car racing's favourite personalities, who I don't think thinks too highly of Switzerland's hill climbing events?
Go ahead.
Hang on. Let's see in the comments which motorsport / car personality are we talking about has a deep assumed deep hatred of probably hill climbing in Switzerland and dragsters.
We will not reveal the answer until next episode, so make sure that you put it in the comments. There will be a point system, and at the end of this year's Formula 1 season, we will reveal which of our viewers has the most amount of points in our weekly trivia.
It won't always be F1, it won't always be racing related, but it will always be motorsport.
It might even be a question about one of us. You never know.
Yeah.
But it will definitely be somehow connected to our podcast.
Which motor personality... Once again, the question is, which motor personality probably has a hatred of jet dragsters and hill climbing in Switzerland?
I'd probably have can I have a crack at it?
Oh, but you can't let the people.
We can't tell you if it's right or wrong.
Yeah, no, don't even
I've
guess.
got my own answer.
Put it in our chat. Put it in our host chat, and we'll just have a suss.
Or we'll
That's
say if it's
good.
right or wrong, but we can't say who it is. We'll say if it's right or wrong.
Yeah. Put it in the host chat.
Alright, fine.
Joys of a podcast, guys. That is really wrong.
That's not a real person.
That's not a real person.
No, it's not. Look at the first name. So
Well, I'm surprised.
back to 1950s, the Monaco Grand Prix was won twice by Maurice Trintignant.
Oh god, that's a name I don't think many people would know.
Yeah, Maurice
Unlike Olivier Panis, who won it once.
Maurice Trintignant was a two-time Grand Prix winner, and both the Formula One Grand Prix that he won were both in Monaco.
Oh wow.
So yeah, one was for Ferrari in 1955, and one was for Cooper in 1958. And he finished fourth in the championship twice, despite only winning those two.
Boys, 1950s. Let's do this 1950s. Best driver of the 1950s to have never won a championship.
I think, well, that kind of works with the best driver ever to not win a championship. Oh, well, that's kind of debatable,
Moss.
actually. That's more debatable.
Hey, it's Sterling Moss.
Yes. Also, in the 24 Hour of Le Mans, the line I counted on this list of Triple Crown personas. The winner of the 24 Hour of Le Mans is the person who crossed the finish line. So we've got 1955. We had Mike Hawthorne for Jaguar, which he won after causing the fatal collision that killed nearly 100 people. So he caused that, and he kept going on to cross the line and win the race.
Can I just mention?
Yep.
Can I just mention how cool, in my opinion, the design of the 1950s cars looked like?
I think that the late 50s, early 60s were so hot. I think they were.
And then
I think that was my favorite cars.
And then you went into the 70s with those and then with those large airbox designs, and they look a bit ridiculous.
I mean, they just look. Yeah, I mean, I don't think
If you look at Emerson Fittipaldi's car, that
the McLaren.
we can't really call them ugly because we got to remember that the Caterham existed.
Well,
Yes. Nose Caterham. That's gonna
Nose.
that's gonna be censored.
The nose looks like the nose, not just nose, but the rest of the goddamn nose. Which looks
You're just calling it nose now.
Yes.
well, can we just call it the bulgy nose?
I wouldn't call it bulgy. Some of them were. No names mentioned. Williams and Sauber.
Hang on, I know what we
Talking
call it.
about Williams, what about that bloody whale nose one?
Oh, the FW26 2004.
Yeah.
They changed that halfway through the year,
Yeah, because they thought it looked ridiculous.
and it wasn't working well. They
guys.
stuck the FW25 nose on it.
I think I know what we can actually call the car. Instead of the nose car, I know what we should actually be calling it.
The mobile.
No. The Jacques Villeneuve nose.
Oh, yeah. 1997 all over again.
Well,
Fantastic.
we know who's never coming on our podcast.
Mm-hmm.
I hope not.
Jack. You have to admit, though, his defense.
I think you mean Villeneuve.
Yep.
So, yeah,
You have to agree with me, though. He put up a good fight in Japan.
He had a
with,
very overpowered car, though, to be fair.
Yeah, and then he had Michael try to take him out by hitting him, and he hit the wrong part of him, and Michael spun out.
But
And then, he got a clear victory. And then David Coulthard was like, "Oh yeah, you can have fourth place."
third, he finished P3.
Third place, yeah. Even though David Coulthard let him, gave him away, Jax respected that and then let David Goldfard go with 1-2 with Mika.
But yeah, I think the thing is, right, as
guys, look at this for yourself. Can we all just agree the 2014 Caterham was the ugliest car to ever grace an F1
it was
circuit?
the livery was one of the most beautiful of all time, but I think just
What,
the
the
2014 the Caterham in 2014, the nose car, and I think that the nose itself of all, I mean, some of the 2014 cars, like for example the Sauber and the Williams, were genuinely very good looking. But some teams just went all out. Like I know Caterham thought, we're going to have a stupid nose either way. We may as well make it as stupid as possible.
Can I say that Grosjean in 2012 had a really sexy looking Lotus?
He had a very
the
good year in 2012 and 13.
The Lotus livery in all has always been beautiful. They designed an amazing
Except
livery.
the early 90s ones when they were like blue and pink and all that.
I think that was more down to sponsorship.
Yeah, so I think we'll just do a quick run.
The John Player Special one was pretty good.
Yeah,
Hey,
and
now.
Gold Leaf as well, where they were British Racing Green.
It's time to move on to the segment that we...
Yeah, I'll just quickly do a run through of just who won the Triple Crown in the 50s from 55 to 59. Monaco in 55 and 58 was Maurice Trintignant. 56 was Sir Sterling Moss. 57 was Juan Manuel Fangio. 59 was Jack Brabham. Then 24 Hour of Le Mans, we had Mike Hawthorn for Jaguar in 55. Ron Flockhart, who was Hawthorn's teammate, won it twice in a row in 56 and 57. Phil Hill for Ferrari, who would later go on to become F1 World Champion. He won
I
in
don't
58.
actually remember Brabham winning the Triple Crown.
He only ever won in Monaco.
Oh, so you're talking about...
I'm talking about
he
people
won
who won the three
three-
Triple Crown, any one of the three Triple Crown races.
Ah, yep.
Carroll Shelby drove his Aston Martin to victory in 1959. And then the Indy 500, we had Bob Sweikert for Curtis Craft, Pat Flaherty for Watson, we had Hanks for Sully, Jimmy Bryan also for Sully, and then Roger Ward for Watson in 1959. Without further ado, and also I've got some here people who have completed 2 of the 3 rounds. Tarzio Nuvolari, Bruce McLaren, Jochen Rindt, Juan Pablo Montoya, and Fernando Alonso. And the only person to complete all 3 is Graham Hill.
Yep. So obviously we'll just quickly on Montoya. Now, I know this is going to probably get me hunted down by the Spanish fans, but Montoya, for me, right now, has a better chance of winning the Triple Crown
than Fernando does.
than Fernando.
Because
I think if Montoya wanted to, I think he could easily convince Toyota to have him in a seat.
Even to sell him a seat.
Toyota.
Even to sell him a seat. And I think I was going to make a joke, but I think we'll quickly start the Taking the Pits segment, so I'm allowed to make that joke.
Taking the pits!
Welcome to Taking the
we
Pits,
take the
where we
pits.
take the pits out of everyone. So Juan Pablo Montoya could buy a Le Mans seat with all of his Colombian cocaine money.
That's good. That's good money.
Yeah.
What?
Juan Pablo Montoya is from Colombia, and we want him to buy a seat in Le Mans using the money that he has from his cocaine dealing.
Rightio.
Do you have anything to say that could possibly be politically incorrect or insulting of any motorsport personality? Maybe David
Look,
Boxhead
I don't want to
Coulthard?
turn into a Jeremy Clarkson when all of a sudden the whole country of Mexico is going to hate me.
Oh yeah, can we quickly
But,
say as well, back to Charles Leclerc's driving, if you don't like it, then you can and if Mercedes don't like it, they can if Red Bull don't like it, they can
But I just want to say that every time that I hear Montoya's name, I keep getting reminded of that Australian interview.
Can you play golf with my mum?
how many? Hang on. What was it? It was one.
It's there we go.
The rising number 1 of Formula 1 wonders. Should only one Formula 1 year? Would one want to have one in that one round 1?
So So also, it's fascinating that before the Halo was implemented, head injury crashes that would require a Halo weren't that common. Obviously, there are a few bad ones. Obviously, a few massive ones. But once they introduced the Halo, everyone hated the idea of it, and then suddenly the Halo starts saving people all the time.
I know where you're going with this. Hey, I know where you're going with this. But you got to remember, the FIA hasn't asked drivers to crash. I mean, Flavio doesn't work there yet.
Yeah, well, when he does, we're going to have a lot more propaganda and basically, it's just going to be Crashgate all over again, but it's going to implement the Halo.
The 2020 Crashgate season.
Yep. Amazing.
Tasty.
So we have about 2 minutes left, I think.
Yeah,
well,
and I think cut.
I just think that Mercedes is pretty much like Brawn in 09, but in pretty much every conceivable season.
You gotta remember who helped design that Mercedes
Ross
car.
Brawn. Yeah, because you got Ross Brawn as one of the chief designers, is it, in Mercedes AMG?
Oh, no. Ross Brawn works for the FIA now.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
That explains a lot.
Yes.
Well,
Now,
he can now design all cars to go fast, unless the steward says,
he's
"Hey."
the one who designed He's the one who helped design what's going to be the 2021 regulations.
Yeah, I saw the interview between him and Sky Sports talking about the 2021 design.
Actually, since we've got time, let's talk the 2021 design. What do you boys all think of it?
I think it looks really sleek. It
looks futuristic, and I think we're going into the future of motorsport in a really good way.
That's a thing as well with Formula
really
E. With Formula E, obviously, I know a lot of people don't like it, but that's the way that motorsport is going, and people need to accept that.
For me, Formula E took a step back with the Gen 2 cars. I like to see pit stops. I like to see more strategy. I know what you're thinking.
I mean electric. I just mean electric racing in general.
But not like I'm not a big fan of the Formula E. For me, it needs a pit stop. It needs something more strategic in it.
Just like in the 2000s, when you had refueling and pit stops took about 3 seconds.
I think yours Verstappen kind of stopped the refueling thing from happening.
I understand why refueling was stopped.
Yeah, it was dangerous.
It wasn't just a danger; it was a cost. Absolute cost.
Because you had two choices: one, run heavy and probably not be fast, or two, run light and then refuel halfway, and then hopefully make up.
About the cost. It costs the teams and the FIA heaps to bring that.
Economical. Yeah,
economical. That's why I don't think it's going to be returned.
Apart from F1 drivers,
even in the mid 2000s, it was still dangerous. That's the thing. That's why it was stopped. And I don't think there is a way to make it 100% safe, or even 90% safe. There is going to be incidents.
The only motorsport that I can really compare it to is NASCAR, because they refuel their cars astronomically quickly.
NASCAR right now is actually one of the most exciting racing leagues, I think. And I know that a lot of nostalgic F1 watchers love the sound, that's why they don't like it anymore. And I think, honestly, NASCAR is probably the best sounding motorsport at the moment, if you're going for the loudness factor. I think that could be a good alternative.
Yeah, those rumbling, low revving V8s are pretty good.
Well, the fact everyone is complaining about the V6 turbo hybrid, but the fact is the teams want it. They want it.
Didn't racing in the 80s have V6 engines?
Yeah, they used turbocharged 1.5 litres. That's the MP44 used one.
So basically, they're going back to a classic sound, pretty much, almost.
Well, it's hybrid.
If F1 teams wanted, only really 4 of them would have to vote yes, or 3 of them.
Mercedes, Ferrari, Red Bull.
Happy.
Well, I mean, the V8 engines were good in F1, weren't they? The 2010s V8s.
Yeah, I think nothing beats the V12s, the turbo V12s. from the mid
Oh
80s.
yeah,
V12s.
Alain Prost's Ferrari, the V12, and that was.
I mean,
beautiful.
even earlier that, even the four-cylinder BMWs used by Nelson Piquet's Brabham, that was the most powerful engine in F1 history.
Oh yeah. What always sticks in my mind is the MP415s, the McLaren Mercedes. That whine that it makes as it's coming out of the pits or going around a corner just sounds so terrifyingly good.
Yeah, same with the F2004 and the FW25, which the FW25 is actually probably one of the best F1 cars ever for drivers. Everyone who's ever driven in one has all said the same thing. But yeah, I think we're getting close to pretty much having to wrap up now, guys. So this has been.
I think we're going to be on the grandstand. Okay,
'Cause
count in.
Alright, 3, 2, 1. Take it away, big boy.
Say that. Oh. Oh, it's fine. Then all of a sudden, just take it away, big boy.
Oh my god.
Tow truck has been called to the race.
Okay, we're good.